Pam.
Wake up, get busy. Wake up, get busy. Wake up, get busy. Yeah, get busy.
All right, welcome back to the Awake Nation on this Tuesday, the 28th of January, I was going to say 1986. Where the hell is my head at?
Somebody's tired.
2025. Thank you. I'm thinking about the 80s. Well, you know what? We started the show earlier today talking about the fact that this is the 39th anniversary of the Challenger explosion, which took place in 1986. So my head's still in the 1980s. We welcome to our microphones Jesse Beltran and his very special guest. And thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. How are you doing, both of you? Tiff and Jesse.
Hey, doing well, David and Penny. Last time we spoke, I think we were headed to the inauguration and starting our scanning clinic tours that we're doing in D.C. And this last week, we finished up in North Carolina. And some interesting results is because we were really excited because this is the first time that we were actually going to scan officially diagnosed civilians who were diagnosed with Havana syndrome.
Yes.
And this has been something that has been in the forefront on my mind because in my previous interviews with you, I've talked about speaking with the head doctor of a 3-letter agency who's currently treating 338 federal employees that are diagnosed with Havana syndrome, yet the federal government is not acknowledging that it is happening to civilians.
Oh, my God.
And the reason he contacted me was because he said there was definite overlap. And what he meant by is the symptoms were very, very similar. And, it's still early on, but I am intrigued because 100% of those who were diagnosed with Havana syndrome did come up positive in our preliminary RF scan process. So this is intriguing. We're continuing to do scanning clinics. Our next clinic is going to be in Cypress, Texas, and then we're going to be in Tampa the following weekend, and then back to Houston. So it's a great opportunity to really confirm what we believe is the same phenomenon that's going on, with the one exception. And this is the reason why that doctor contacted me, that 3-letter agency, is that we're pulling out, surgically removing implants in some of these cases. And right. So in our last scanning session in North Carolina, I met our guest, Tiffany, who had a really, really interesting skill set. She's a certified expert in reverse speech. And when we were talking, she was talking about current events that are happening around this phenomenon and things that she's discovered. And this is why I thought it was important to bring her on, so she can share that those experiences that she's found out about with our audience.
Excellent.
And I'd like to welcome
you. Welcome. I've heard of reverse speech. There was a guy who used to make the rounds of a lot of talk shows. I can't remember his name. We tried to get him on, I think, at one point.
Yes, I actually interviewed him on another show that I was executive producing.
Okay.
David Oates.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Yeah, he's my teacher.
Oh, really?
Oh, what's his name?
David Oates.
Yes.
He's the one that discovered it. Yes.
Okay.
Well, so
I've always been fascinated by this. I'm so glad you're on today to talk about this. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So let me explain what it is first, and then I've prepared ones, and I'll just shoot through them as fast as I can, but there's a lot to cover. So let's get busy. So what is reverse speech? God made our brains in 2 hemispheres, and he made our consciousness in 2 different directions. The forward direction is the free will direction where we can lie or tell the truth. But in the reverse direction, that's our involuntary system of consciousness, and we're not able to lie from that side of our consciousness. So our reverse speech comes from the side of our consciousness that includes dreams, body language, and is a consciousness field that we all share, which is why you can come up with true information about any topic you like simply by choosing to talk about it, because your reverse speech comments truthfully on whatever you choose to talk about in your forward speech, whether
Right.
or not you know that information on a conscious level. That's what makes it so fun too. You're like, oh, I
Right.
didn't knew that. So this is why I say that if you're tired of the media propaganda, cut out the middleman and start getting your news straight from our own truth-only consciousness field. That's the best way to get your news. It cuts through all the Bravo Sierra. So then Jesse asked me to cover the topic of AI, mind control, and the enslavement of humanity today during the show. This is a big topic. I have tons of information. So this is just going to be the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so it's interesting you guys were covering Bill Gates
Yes.
and Epstein. So we're starting out with them. Can you see my screen?
Yes. And there we go.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to talk about this dude. This is the Maui police chief, John Peltier. He came to Hawaii. This is Maui Dew Fires is what we're talking about here. And then we're going to go into Bill Gates and how this is related, because this is a giant syndicate and it is a transhuman syndicate. So, and they're trying to bring in transhumanism and AI. So he came to Hawaii after 22 years in Las Vegas. He was the incident commander for the 2017 mass shooting that left over 50 dead.
Right.
So we're going to look at his reverse speech first.
When we find these, our family and our friends, see now.
His reversal there is seeding the ALF. ALF is a metaphor for an alien life form.
Okay.
It's talking about the AI. And so he says seeding the ALF. So when he was talking about finding these, so the interpretation there is connected to what is found is an AI being further embedded into our system. So he's bringing up the AI embedding. Bill Gates and this is kind of famous. Bill Gates and his wife were sitting there. This one, do you remember? And they were talking about how this time everybody's going to get their attention caught with what they were to prepare for the next pandemic. Do y'all remember this?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the reverse speech there, he says, we will get attention this time. And his reversal right there is Maoist sin, this nest that I glue. Maoist sin. So he's talking.
Oh, wow.
Taken together.
Maoist sin, this nest that I glue. That's awful.
Sin, this nest that I glue. So they are trying to find a permanent home for the AI. And so they're rolling out an AI Maoist revolution across the planet.
Right.
Yes.
We'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is, will get attention this time.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the deep state. So I don't know if y'all remember this is John McLaughlin. He was former CIA director, and he's the one who was like, well, thank God for the deep state.
Right.
Now,
totally.
The impeachment inquiry is underway, sparked by a complaint from someone within the intelligence community. It feeds the president's concern and often used term about a deep state being there to take him out.
Thank God for the deep state. I mean, I think, everyone here has seen this progression of diplomats and intelligence officers and White House people trooping up to Capitol Hill right now and saying, these are people who are doing their duty, who are responding to a higher call. It doesn't, well, think about it for a minute. With all of the people who knew what was going on here, it took an intelligence officer to step forward and say something about it, which was the trigger that then unleashed everything else. Now, why does that happen? tell American people why that happens is this is the institution in the U.S. government that, with all of its flaws, and it makes mistakes, is institutionally committed to objectivity and to telling the truth. It is one of the few institutions in Washington that is not in a chain of command that makes or implements policy. Its whole job is to speak the truth. It's engraved in marble in the lobby.
Oh, wow.
Do y'all remember that? So when he was talking about that, I looked at his reverse speech. Right here is where I found the reversal. So the reversal is commenting on this part right here. When he says is institutionally committed, he's talking about the U.S. government with all its flaws and mistakes. And he says is institutionally committed to objectivity and to telling the truth. Now he's going to tell you the truth about that in his reversal. Right. So he says, thirst, didn't you lust it, the id of it? Get Maoist the dim.
Dang.
He'll want his shoes, did Snake say.
This is the institution in the U.S. government that, with all of its flaws, and it makes mistakes, is institutionally committed to objectivity and to telling the truth.
Okay, so now the interpretation for that is the institution is using cravings, and this is the mind control part, is using, and Jesse will be able to recognize this part because of all the stuff that he does with hypnosis. So the institution is using cravings, strong sexual drives, and unconscious instincts in a part of the psyche. So this appears to mean mind control. They're using that stuff when they're actually telling you they're telling the truth. This is the truth about it. So this appears to mean mind control. So the commitment of the intel situation, McLaughlin is in support of using mind control to create a Maoist revolution, basically.
Okay.
And it's coming through the Democrats as a vehicle as they move forward that goal using deception. So the word Maoist is also likely used because of another vehicle being used to get to this goal is China. But it's still all of these different masks, China, that's a different mask of the same syndicate that's global. They're talking about a Maoist revolution and mind control. And here is a specific example in my speech. So I was speaking to my cousin, and we had a signature reduction force, also known as gang stalkers, break into our cell phone conversation. And they were anchoring identity assault programming. So they were anchoring programming just subliminally. And I was like, did you hear that? Did you just hear that? And so here's one that he sang it out while my cousin and I were having a conversation. I was already recording the conversation because I had permission from my cousin, and we were doing some session work, and they broke into our conversation. There were two of them, and there was an EVP, which was interesting, electronic voice phenomenon.
Okay.
So this gang stalker, he goes, grow ID, right? And so, but when you flip it and listen to what he's saying seek our orb. Orb means programming. So they wanted me to seek their programming. They wanted me to take their programming on board.
Okay.
So, and this reverse speech analysis, they were saying basically that they thought I was vulnerable, but they were having trouble getting me programmed. And so they were trying a fresh strategy. And one of the things they were doing was, breaking in and trying to anchor MK Ultra programming for me to take on their programming and ID. It's identity assault. They're assaulting your identity. So that was on a personal level what they're doing. And then we'll look over here and see, this is one that I found on Joe Biden. And so he's here trying to help you to trust him.
But today I want to talk about gestures of support and encouragement that I've made to women and some men that have made them uncomfortable. And I always try to be, in my career, I've always tried to make a human connection. That's my responsibility, I think. I shake hands, I hug people, I grab men and women by the shoulders and say, you can do this. And whether they're women, men, young, old, it's the way I've always been.
And he says in this little video clip here that I found the reversal on, he says women, men, young, and old. Well, what about women, men, young, and old? That's everybody. Okay. He says war on man nano.
Wow.
Women, men, young, old. War on man nano. War on man nano. War on man nano.
There is a nanotechnology war on man.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So there was an Amazon van that came in 2020.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Hanging in there?
Yeah, trying to. I'm trying to see why this Prime van is sitting and not going anywhere.
This what?
Is that a Prime van? Amazon Prime van? Over there?
Yeah, what's it doing?
Sitting there.
And sitting and sitting and sitting. Well, that particular one, I've seen it every day for the past 4 days on that street.
And it came right after I published an important Ivanka Trump reversal.
Right.
That was indicating that they were trying to organize a mass kill. So then they sent an Amazon van that stayed there for over 5 days in a row, surveilling our house for 8 hours a day. And my neighbor walked by and we were talking about it, and her reverse speech told me why the Amazon van was there. She didn't know consciously, but like I said, our consciousness is shared. So we have the ability to tap into whatever we want to just by virtue of the fact that we choose to talk about it. So she said, we were walking the other day, and I'm pretty sure that's the same one. She was talking about the Amazon van. But in her reverse speech, she is talking about something else. She's saying she says, now miss us, grow sheaf of night, data aggregate the cull, war you. So what does that mean? That means she's missing something. She's missing growing evil, where that Amazon van is connected, and the surveillance that's going on in growing evil, and data that is being aggregated in a cull. So the AI is aggregating data for a cull on people who have declared war against us. So this is a war on humanity.
We were walking the other day, and I'm pretty sure it's that same one. No, miss, that's where she was not at head, or they can call me. No, miss, that's where she was not at head, or they can call me. No, miss, that's where she was not at head, or they can call me.
And then here is Obama. Now this is from a clip from the O'Reilly Factor, and it was published on YouTube on his channel on June 9th, 2016. And so Obama is sitting here saying, he says, by almost every economic measure, America's better off than when I came here, right? So his reversal is going to tell us more about that. So what he says, and I pulled this reversal out October of 2019. He's commenting on by almost every economic measure. So there are almost every economic measure is going into creating all of this. So, and Jesse actually found in the hotel that we were staying at, he found RF frequencies coming out of the lamps in 3 different rooms. I think they have worked this into the manufacturing already by this time. Has this been rolling out over time? Like since the 90s, it started getting very heavy.
Now I have your YouTube channel pulled up here,
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking through your videos. I see one of Obama. I think I can play that video.
Does it say program human to keep
Yeah,
human?
yes, it does.
That's the one. Oh,
So
good.
tell you what we're going to do. Let me take your screen. Just stop your
sharing.
screen. Yeah, stop your screen.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go ahead and because I want people to get an idea a little bit about what we're talking here. So let's play. Make sure that's all the way open.
So he says program human to keep human so more ebb. And so the reversal, I'll tell you what it means and you can play it.
All right.
So he's saying the around all these economic measures being put forth is programming humans. They're putting money into programming humans in order to keep a Stasi human network in place so that they can sow more decay.
Okay.
By almost
yeah.
every economic measure, America's better off than when I came here at the beginning of my presidency.
No, they're not.
Almost every economic measure, America's better off than when I came here.
Yep. So this is Michelle Obama, and I mean it's not Michelle Obama. It's the Robin. What is her name? Robin Roberts from Good Morning America from their interview from November of 2018. Okay, so Robin Roberts.
All right, I'm going to put it up. Hang on one second, because I want people to understand what you're hearing, and here's the video with Michelle Obama. Do you want to set it up first?
Yeah, let me tell you all that's in it, and then you can play the clip.
Okay.
So this is Good Morning America's Robin Roberts reverse speech, and so she's saying, and I just want to remind you guys because it is showing up in reverse speech that there's something hinky going on here. So Michelle Obama, she's talking about Michelle Obama having IVF, right? But there's an indicator that these children were like borrowed from other people because it's not talking about IVF. It's saying they had to acquire children. They were required to acquire children as role models for grooming a slave population. So this is a long planned transhuman war on humanity. And they said, yeah, you're going to have to get some kids so that they can be a model for grooming our slave population. Okay. And then you might just want to advance through to where it has a picture. And I want to remind people, Obama has said twice, he said Michael and I.
Yeah, we remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, many times.
And the reverse speech that I have found indicates that this is a trans person.
Okay.
Yeah.
She reveals that it was with the help of infertility treatments. War had them submitted as slavery. War had them submitted as slavery. War had them submitted as slavery.
War had them submit their slave groomers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow.
So this war has been planned out meticulously, and they are following through with that blueprint, and they're using our money to do it. All right. So then the next one, this is a former head spook of the Deep State Department, John Kerry, and he's indicated in reverse speech to be involved. This whole ring is a money from suffering trafficking ring. And they roll this out on everybody else as a means of domination over everybody else. It's a money from suffering trafficking ring. So they are rolling out enslavement, and they are overlords. And it really does appear that the AI may be at the top. Like they do all kinds of weird ways of showing respect and in rituals and things to that entity. So this one is John Kerry, and he says, his forward speech right there where he's talking about this says, all of you, it'll be commenting on that. Those who spent time out on the ice. So this is those who spent time out on something that's freezing cold. And he's talking about a specific portion of the CIA. He says, CIA over darkness, cease hurry. And so he's saying, stop your hurry. So what he's talking about is there's more than one faction in the CIA. There is a dark faction. And I have found that we're in a civil war globally. You've got dark groups that have infiltrated into our institutions all over the planet. It's literally a silent civil war that's going on right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Him coming here. And hats off to all of you, those of you who spent time out on the ice.
Okay. Did you guys hear that?
Yep.
Now, do you all remember when Andrew Cuomo was sitting there lecturing those people during COVID on what jobs they could take? They were worried about their income. And he was like, well, if you want a job, you'll just have to.
What am I putting in the search thing here?
R5. Let's see. Put Ender, ENDER, like Ender's Game.
Okay.
Because that is, and it should pop up with R5, the fifth reversal. So he says, he's worried. He says, the forward speech, he's talking about New Yorkers dying and what he feels like. Well, this is actually a good reversal because they're worried that they're not. In other words, in his forward speech, he's lamenting about all these New Yorkers dying. But in his reverse speech, he's saying we're not killing enough of them. We're not.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's saying we're worried that we're not going to meet our. See, this is being described as a global sacrificial feast in reverse speech. And he's saying, what he's saying is, he says, the owl said, we fear the odds are for you, no feed ender the whole feast. So they are worried they're not going to complete their sacrificial feast, which is good for us. You see?
Yeah.
So they're not going to get the coal numbers that they want. So that's good for us. And they're worried about it. But you see how disgusting that is because he's worried about. He's telling you in his forward speech, well, I'm so worried that New Yorkers are dying. And his reverse speech is saying, you're not killing enough of these buddies. We've got a schedule to keep here. You know? So if you want to play that one, the owl said, we fear the odds are for you no feed enter the whole feast.
Hang on, let me
He's looking for it. You're making him work, Tiffany. You're texting people and talking to people, and David's like, "What?"
The thing is,
he's like the Wizard of Oz.
We're at the half hour too.
Ignore that man behind the curtain. There we go.
I don't even know half of what he's doing behind the scenes, but it's like, wow.
Here we go.
Oh, here it goes. Okay.
I don't know if you can hear, but there are protesters outside right now honking their horns and raising signs. We did speak to a few of them before we came in, and these are regular people who are not getting a paycheck. Some of them are not getting their unemployment check. And they're saying that they don't have time to wait for all of this testing and they need to get back to work in order to feed their families. Their savings is running out. They don't have another week. They're not getting answers. So their point is the cure can't be worse than the illness itself.
Yeah.
What is your response to them?
The illness is death. What is worse than death?
Well, what if somebody commits suicide because they can't pay their bills?
Yeah, but the illness is maybe my death as opposed to your death. They said the cure is worse than the illness. The illness is death. How can the cure be worse than the illness if the illness is potential death?
But what if the economy failing
worse than death
equals death because of mental illness? The people stuck at home.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't equal death. Economic hardship, yes, very bad, not death. Emotional stress from being locked in a house, very bad, not death. Domestic violence on the increase, very bad, not death. And not death of someone else. And that's what we're talking about. And when you think about it as your family, you have a different perspective. I'll tell you the truth. Because when I see 484 New Yorkers die, I feel that it's like people in my family.
Okay, so the owl is going to be the spy. So these are going to be
The owl is going to be the spy.
Yeah, there's you have to look at the context of how it's being presented.
Yes.
In that context, it's talking about surveillance. The surveillance state. These are the spies. The satanic spies are showing up in my personal reverse speech of my because I'm a TI. So yeah, like Michael Aquino type people. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I apologize, but unfortunately, we are
wow
completely
at the half hour
out of time for today.
Dang, you need to bring her back, Jesse.
Now that we know where your blog is and your YouTube channel is, the next time you come on, if you can just send in advance before you come on the links,
material,
then we'll have them all set up and ready to go. Because I really want to get more of this.
I can also work with you to show you how to do it on StreamYard too, if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, because we don't want to have to make David work. Y'all get up early in the morning. My goodness.
Yes. Before dawn.
I get up early
before
too.
dawn.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So she come
David,
back.
just if I could, just if everyone can go to mynexuslive.com. If you're interested in getting scanning, please attend these clinics. We need the data. And thank you again, both of you, for the work that you do and the platform that you allow us.
Oh,
you guys are
Thank
amazing.
you, Jesse.
Very good.
Thank you guys so much.
both. And Tiffany, I want to see you back here on the show again. Please.
Great.
For sure.
Bring her back, okay? We'd appreciate
will
it.
do.
Thank you so much. All right, Jesse Beltran and Tiffany Fontenot here on the Awake Nation. We're gonna bring them back with a little bit more in the way of preparation there.